Is it?
Yes, we're going.
Okay, great. All right, so today, female fueling, how to build both planned and positive relationship with food that serves your goals. At Chaski, we love starting with this slide because this is what we are all about, empowering athletes and fostering community. So when Sam and I talked before this, she mentioned you have 20 minutes to present on nutrition. And to me, I could talk 20 years about nutrition. So we talked a little bit about the goals of today, and you all mentioned things you hope to get out of today. So if we don't talk about it, we can talk about it afterwards in the Q&A, and I'll try to answer some of the questions throughout. But we'll go into our introductions a little bit more, how we can balance intuitive eating and what is intuitive eating and performance fueling, the importance of our gut. This is my biggest passion this year, is reading all about the gut microbiome and how it affects our health. We will talk about habit building. We will all set some goals, have a Q&A, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the monthly masterclasses and nutrition series that you can be involved in throughout the year.
Hey, that's me. Okay, my name is Samantha Pruitt. Like I said, I'm from La Quinta, California, which is just south of Palm Springs, in case you're familiar. Yes, I am a 51-year-old ultra woman, and before that, Iron woman. I do have celiac disease, and I am a menopausal female. And as you know, menopause goes forever. So that's super fun and has created some challenges in my athletic endeavors. I was a triathlon and a running coach. I'm currently not. I'm a Pride ambassador at Chaski, helping build community and foster empowering of athletes. I was also, or still am technically, a race director, a businesswoman, an endurance community builder, life, business, and leadership coach. I still actively am doing that, even in the pandemic when we didn't have all of our other events. I continue to work with humans, and in particular, business women and women in leadership positions and girls in leadership positions to be mentoring. My personal mission is using endurance sports and outdoor adventure to change lives and to build human connection. And that is why Chaski resonates so strongly with me and why I became a Pride member with them. I also have Endurance Town USA. That's my podcast, my blog, and I will be starting a weekly radio show, which will be focused on coaches. And I will be short form interviewing coaches from all over the world about what refuels them, and not just in the food, but in their passion and in their sport and in their careers. Like I said, I'm a Pride ambassador and I live in La Quinta, California. And mostly I'm here today to facilitate conversation, dialogue, and connection with all of you, and make sure that Carolyn gets to really, she's got so much. I have her coaching me on nutrition right now as well. So much information, such a wealth of just phenomenal resources. And so we'll all dig into that a little bit later. But I'm also here to answer questions if I see an opportunity to share my experience, or if you're interested in learning at all about autoimmune. I was a couch potato until I was in my late 20s, or menopausal fueling. And I do, like I said, ultras. So I've got some experience under my belt, but nothing like Carolyn. Okay, you're up, girl.
All right, so I am Carolyn. I live in Massachusetts. I live in Whitensville, which is about 45 minutes to an hour southwest of Boston. I am a registered dietitian. I went to the University of Maine, ran track and cross country there, and studied nutrition. I do have my master's in exercise science in strength and conditioning. So with Chaski, I am a nutrition coach and a strength and conditioning coach. I teach nutrition at the University of Massachusetts at Amherst. I'm a trail runner. I've done a 50K. So you all have more personal experience than me when it comes to fueling through 100, but I work with athletes who fuel their way through hundreds. So I have some of their testimonies. I am a mountain runner and a snowshoer in the winter. I avoid roads at all costs. So snowshoeing still gets me in the trails through the winter. And I'm a lover of all things travel, reading. I'm up to like a book a week now, sometimes a book and a half a week. I love reading. I make time for it. I love the mountains, coffee, My big quarantine purchase was a new espresso machine. I love craft beer. Cows are my favorite animal. And I just love authentic food. So Vietnamese, Thai, and Mexican are my top three. But I just love delicious food and spicy food.
Real food.
Yes, real food. All right, so I want to start with intuitive eating because this is probably one of my biggest principles in this book here, Intuitive Eating, a Revolutionary Anti-Diet Approach by Evelyn Tribole and Elise Resch. They are both dietitians. This book changed my life as a dietitian, as an athlete, and just as a human being around diet culture and social media. And I want to just present this quote because this kind of summarizes the book if you don't choose to read it or listen to it. But quote, make food choices that honor your health and taste buds while making you feel good. Remember that you don't have to eat a perfect diet to be healthy. You will not suddenly get a nutrient deficiency or gain weight from one snack, one meal, or one day of eating. It's what you eat consistently over time that matters. Progress, not perfection, is what counts. And that last sentence, especially, progress, not perfection, is what counts. We can apply that to, yes, our fueling, but our athletic career and just our life in general. And this book dives into acceptance, honoring your hunger, uh, changing your why against movement and exercise. Why are you actually doing it? Eliminating food rules. There are no such thing as good or bad foods. Don't avoid foods unless you're allergic or deficient. But I highly recommend this read for those who are interested in intuitive eating and a sustainable nutrition plan. So with intuitive eating, I practice that with my athletes, but we also have to consider performance fueling. And I know this is a really wordy slide, but I could talk about this for 20 years, like I said earlier, but these are just my fundamentals and quick takeaways of fueling for performance and fueling as an athlete, and adding in a female athlete. So fueling within an hour of waking up, even before a workout. There's a lot out there about intermittent fasting and fasted training. We react very differently to this than males. We are very sensitive to energy changes and carbohydrate changes due to our hormones. So if we are not fueling every 3 to 4 hours, which is the next point, and before our workouts, we can build up a lot of stress in our body, and we won't see adaptations that we want to see after training. Our stress hormones go up, so we will conserve what we can because our bodies are made to have babies. So when we are starving, we're going to conserve everything we have. So principle of fueling every 3 to 4 hours or honoring your hunger, I emphasize whatever comes first. I like thinking of practical hunger. So yeah, you might not be hungry at that time, but it's after a workout or you are going to be in a meeting for 4 hours, so you know you have to eat right then. I would recommend eating so you aren't ravenous a few hours later. Including a protein and carbohydrate food at every meal and snack. Always bring snacks, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, and having different snacks available. And when it comes to ultra fueling, taking almost your everyday as your fuel through an ultra. I am a very big real food athlete, real food dietitian. Commercial products are great if you can tolerate them, but too many of them, you will probably see it again in the toilet very quickly, or like your stomach will start acting up because they are mostly carbohydrate based. So you want to incorporate some fats, some protein, especially if you're going those longer distances, because you can kickstart your muscle recovery through exercise at that point. And you can also get more energy from fat foods versus carbohydrate foods. but practice, practice, practice. Know what works for you, and what works for your friend won't necessarily work for you. Prioritize post-workout fuel within an hour of competition, or within an hour of completion of movement and exercise. So with this is the most important meal of the day. Like breakfast, yeah, it's important to eat within an hour of working out. I mean, within an hour of waking up. But after a workout, our muscles are sponges. So I would say ideally within a half hour, but sometimes our stomachs don't allow that. So within an hour, we want to have a meal. So this isn't just a granola bar. This isn't just a protein shake, but it's an actual substantial balanced plate so we can kickstart that recovery. And we need those carbohydrates to allow that protein to go into our muscles. So the three goals of that post-workout fuel is rehydrate with water, repair with protein, and then replenish our energy with carbohydrates. So you probably have your favorite post-workout meals, but this can be a sandwich, a smoothie with carbohydrates and protein, stir fry, pizza, whatever it may be, hamburgers. Having a water bottle accessible all day long. This is my weakness. I'm really bad at hydrating, but I always have it like in my eyesight, so I know, so it reminds me to drink. Um, we want our urine to be lemonade, not apple juice, even when we wake up first thing in the morning. As little as 2% dehydration can impact performance substantially. So making sure you are staying adequately hydrated. Of course, if you aren't a big water drinker, you can drink seltzer or fruit juice. Coffee and tea can even add to our hydration status. The myth It is somewhat of a myth that they're diuretics because we are going to use the fluid from coffee and tea to balance our hydration if we need it. There's an idea of like freezing fruit juice and freezing fruit or cucumbers and putting that in your water to increase the willingness to drink. Building your meals with 80% and 20% in mind. So this is the idea that 80% of our fuel should be fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, but 20% should and need to be our fun foods. So we are athletes, we are burning a lot of energy. Even just to exist, we burn energy. And to keep things interesting, enjoy a dessert every day. Enjoy your favorite beverage every day. And that is a key component of intuitive eating as well. When we deprive ourselves of these certain foods, we may tend to overeat them or just feel guilty about them. So remove good, bad, and cheat days from your vocabulary. If you can take anything away from today, that is it. Because there's no such thing as that. It's the well-balanced plate, well-balanced meal across the board, even with our fun foods. Paying attention to how foods make you feel. And if it ain't working, fix it and change it. If it is working, then keep going at it. I think with these commercial products out there, like goos, gels, we think we need to take it because that's what's advertised to us. But there are a lot of real food options, like applesauce packages. You can like puree oats, puree like sweet potatoes and things like that are still going to give you those carbohydrates without that slimy feel. I was never a gel person, but so like that slimy feeling of gels. And paying attention to how foods make you feel before, during, and after exercise, but also just throughout the day. Are you feeling tired immediately after that meal? Are you feeling bloated? Are you feeling constipated? Whatever it may be, and paying attention to that. And understand the signs of underfueling and or overtraining. Some of us may be familiar with RED-S, or relative energy deficiency in sport. We're trying to use that term over the female athlete triad because it's more than just a triad. It's not just losing your menstrual cycle. It's not just decreasing bone mineral density, but it's a lot of other implications, such as suppressed immune system, GI issues, psychological issues. And it's not only affecting females, it's affecting males also. Even though it is less talked about, it still exists. So, some signs and things to think about throughout the day or through training cycles is if you are losing your menstrual cycle. Dr. Stacy Sim says it that our menstrual cycle is an ergogenic aid, and we get that naturally. And our physiology is as close to males during our menstrual cycle and afterwards. And so you might think like, oh, I'm getting my periods, I'm not going to perform as well. That's actually where women have been shown to perform the best. If you are hungry or thinking about food all the time, so again, always bring snacks so we don't feel that hunger pain. We've probably all been hangry. I get it a lot where like my coworkers know when I need a snack because I can get kind of cranky and grumpy at them. If you're having trouble sleeping, and this is if you're having trouble falling asleep, if you are waking up a lot in the middle of the night and not able to go back to sleep, or if you're waking up and you've slept 9 hours and you're just still feeling drained, that could be a sign that you're underfueling or overtraining. If you're training hard but not seeing improvement, so you are running all the workouts like your coach says, you are strength training, you think you're doing everything right, but you aren't running longer, you're not running faster, you're not lifting heavier, that is a sign you are underfueling or overtraining, because we need to see those adaptations and we have to make sure our body is fueled to do that. If you are getting sick and injured, and also taking a long time to feel better. So, not only bone injuries, but injuries in general. And if you find that it is taking a long time to recover, you could be underfueling. And then gastrointestinal distress, which I will talk a lot about in the next slide because this is one of my favorite topics. But constipation, bloating, diarrhea, nausea, vomiting are not normal. If you find you are constipated all the time, bloated, diarrhea, nausea, vomiting, something needs to be looked at a little bit more. So don't let someone tell you you have quote unquote IBS if this is chronic, because that's kind of just a pail you are thrown into, but fight for yourself that there might be something else going on. So don't underestimate your gut. This is again one of my favorite topics, so I get so excited just talking about it. But so we have trillions of living organisms. You may have heard of it as the microbiome in our gut, and almost 70% of our immune cells live in our gut. And up to 90% of that feel-good hormone, serotonin, is produced in our gut. So there's a lot coming out about the brain gut axis, how we have a brain in our gut, and the relationship between our gut health and some psychological mental illnesses. We also manufacture vitamins such as vitamin K, biotin, oh, I have vitamin K twice, B6, B5, folate. In our gut, we produce short chain fatty acids, which is fuel for our gut. And we do have bacteria throughout our whole GI system, so our mouth through to our anus, but the majority of this is in our large intestine, and then a little bit in our small intestine. So to increase that healthy gut bacteria and find that balance of quote unquote good and bad bacteria, incorporating probiotics every day. So this is seen in yogurt, kefir, kombucha, tempeh, sauerkraut, kimchi, miso, live fermented products like pickles, any vegetables. And then prebiotics are what are going to feed that gut bacteria. So onions, garlics, leeks, asparagus, bananas, barley, oats are high in prebiotics, but really anything that has fiber. Fiber is what's going to feed our guts. we produce gas is a good thing. It means our bacteria is working, and it's due to the fiber and them feeding off of that. Other considerations that may make this gut bacteria a little wonky are NSAIDs. So this is ibuprofen. And I know with some of my ultra athletes, if they are chronically taking ibuprofen, their gut will shut down and then they might have some issues. Sugar alcohol, so sugar, like diet drinks, gum also has sugar alcohol. So another consideration if you are a gum chewer while exercising. Antibiotics, so whether you orally take antibiotics, we also have antibiotics in our food industry that is showing a relationship with messing with our gut microbiome. Other medications may come into play as well. Excessive alcohol consumption will come into play. And then not breastfeeding. With breastfeeding, we have so many amazing immunoglobulins in our breast milk that when we feed that to our infants, they are able to build up their gut microbiome to fight ear infections and certain infections that you have in childhood. And then the increase in C-sections have also maybe increased this alteration in our gut microbiome, because if we do not go through the birth canal, we are not getting that great bacteria from our moms. And then stress, in all caps, exclamation point. Simply, I don't know what comes first, stress and then a bad gut, or the bad gut and then stress. They go hand in hand. So if you reduce stress, increase that gut microbiome diversity, um, I would not be surprised if you start performing better and just feeling better overall. The thing with the variety of gut bacteria, we need to eat a variety of food. So I always challenge people to try a new food a week, just to get new gut bacteria feeding off of those foods. So then talking about a little bit about habit building and goal setting. And after I go through the presentation, we'll set some goals as a group. And I'd love to hear from you of your biggest take homes, if anything, from today. But before we set goals, whether it's nutrition based or really anything based, think about balancing acceptance and change. What can we need to accept where we are now, but also what can we change to get where we want to be? I am a huge proponent of goal setting. Focus on longevity and sustainability. So with the fads out there, all the supplements out there, think, is this a plan you can stay on for the rest of your life and be physically, emotionally, and socially healthy and happy? So if it is too good to be true, if it is endorsed and being funded by the person getting the money, has it stood the test of time? If you can't say yes or no to those things, it might not be worth it or sustainable. And set short-term, realistic, positive goals. So what can we take away from today and do tomorrow or do this week? And always state things positively. So not what are we going to remove, but what can we add in? So I have an example. I should eat more vegetables. Instead, I'm going to add a serving of spinach to my omelet every morning at breakfast this week. So you can see it's something I can do tomorrow. It's a specific vegetable that I enjoy eating, and it's going to be at breakfast. The amount of times people are like, I'm going to eat vegetables at every meal. I'm like, you don't even have a vegetable a day. That might not be so realistic for you.
Okay, cool. So we're at 4:35. We've got about 25 minutes left. We can run over if people want to stay, but I want to just be mindful of everybody's time. So let's go ahead and get started with our Q&A section. You stopped the recording?